Good seeing you, gentlemen. It's a pleasure to see you this morning. You bring up mandated regular reporting aspects as a big key. And Congress has dictated a lot to you, but Congress hasn't done their fair share either. So when you look at the National Emergencies Act, there's a requirement that the Congress meet every 6 months to have a detailed report. Instead of synopsizing this all over a year or a year and a half, it would be better to have these numbers on a basis every 6 months, having accountability. Would you agree with me, Mr. Horowitz?
Yes, I think more regular reporting would be helpful, and part of that is getting the data, information from agencies to the public, to Congress in a timely fashion.
Yeah. So, would you agree with that, Mr. Dodaro?
Absolutely, absolutely.
And it's part of our the National Emergencies Act that actually Congress shall convene to look at these expenditures and to have some reign over it. And I think that's part of our purview is the power of the purse. And so if you're not having accountability to this body, to this Congress, you're lacking in your jurisdiction of oversight. So I guess having said that, looking at what we have seen in this gobbledygook of national emergencies that date back, that are open to the 1970s, I don't know how you figure these numbers out. I mean, it's crazy. I just don't know how this works. So my question is to the American taxpayer, there's estimates of $560 billion of fraud in the COVID-19 funds. Do you agree with that, Mr. Dodaro?
It will be a while before the full extent of fraud is known.
Right.
As I mentioned in my statement, there's been over 1,000 people who have pled guilty or been convicted. There's over 600 charges still pending against people. The SBA IG has 536 active investigations right now. The Department of Labor IG is opening up 100 new cases every week. So this is going to go on for a while. There are definitely indications of widespread fraud, but it's impossible to estimate right now what the full extent will be. Time will have to unfold, and these investigations will have to be undertaken, because the definition of fraud is willful misrepresentation to get something of value that's adjudicated through a court or some other judicial process.
Would you agree that a continual reporting would be better? A timely reporting to the jurisdictional committee like this one or transportation in regards to the amount of fraud, the number of fraud. What can Congress do to allocate? More streamlining those processes. Do you see a process that we can go forward with that?
Yes, I mean, there's a regular process for the Inspector Generals to report semi-annually, but when you have extraordinary circumstances like we have, there could be more frequent reporting in those cases. But there's definitely benefits of having more frequent interaction and oversight by Congress with oversight bodies, a GAO and the Inspector Generals, in this case the Secret Service, because some of these legislative solutions that I've recommended could have been taken a lot earlier in the process.
And so if we're rewriting the National Emergencies Act, would you be able to give us your inferences as to how to detail the changes?
I'd be happy to look at the act and make suggestions.
Okay.
Yes.
How about you, Mr. Horowitz? I mean, you always come up with great ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. Be happy to.
To Mr. Smith, do you see any aspects of, particularly from the Secret Service, where we can make some amends within the National Emergency Act?
Thank you for the question, sir. As I mentioned in my opening, similar to our protective mission, which our brand is largely associated with, one of the central tenets of our mission is advance work. And as some of the co-panelists spoke about earlier, our cyber fraud task forces are a task force incorporating private sector, incorporating academia, and what we do is share information on a continual basis. So we don't wait until the president shows up in a district to establish relationships. We do that prior to that time. So similarly, in our investigative mission, we know that it's important to maintain relationships with financial institutions, academia, in order to get in front of fraud and share ideas, because we have a constant cadence of interacting with bad guys in the context of our jobs.
Thank you. I might run out of time. I yield back.